Hello and welcome to Maths with Jay. Now here we're looking at percentages and how we can write them as fractions. Now if you have a percentage and you don't really know how to write it as a fraction, it's a good idea to think about one where you do know how to do it. So let's start with 50%. So I'm guessing you probably know what this is as a fraction, but let's have a look at the method for dealing with this. Well, percentages are really just fractions with a denominator of 100. So what we're doing is we're aiming to write, first of all, the percentage as a fraction where the denominator is 100. So 50% is 50 divided by 100. So the per is divided by and the cent is 100. And then just like with any fraction, we can simplify it by dividing numerator and denominator, the top and the bottom, by the same number. So we can see that 50 and 100 have a common factor of 50. So if we divide them both by 50, then we'll get 1 over 2. In other words, 50% is the same as a half. So the same sort of method will work for any fraction. So let's have a look at 75%. So that's 75 over 100. And this time the common factor is 25. So 75 divided by 25 is 3. 100 divided by 25 is 4, so we get 3/4. You don't have to divide by the highest common factor, but if you just divide by another factor, you'll find that you'll need to do another division afterwards. So for example here, if we had divided numerator and denominator by 5 to begin with, we would have got 15 over 20, and then we would have needed to divide by 5 again to get 3 over 4. So let's have a look at 80% this time. So here you might like to divide both numbers by 10 to start with to get 8/10, and then divide both numbers by 2 to get 4/5, or you could divide both numbers by 20 to start with. How about 42%? Well, that's 42 over 100. Those numbers are both even. We can divide them both by 2, so we get 21 over 50. And that's it. We can't do anything else to that fraction. We could check this on a calculator. So if we key in 42% equals, then we get this as a fraction. And we see we were correct to give that as 21 over 50. How about 33%? Well, that's 33 over 100. And a really common mistake with this fraction, or percentage, is for people to say that it's equal to a third. Now, one way of showing that it isn't is to use the verify key on the calculator. So I'm assuming that your calculator is already in math mode, and what you need to do next is to put it into verify mode. So that's mode 4. So let's key in the 33%, and then we want to verify. We want to find whether or not this is equal to a third. So we're going to use verify of the 2 on the calculator. So we're going to do shift 2. And then we want to choose equals. So we're keying in 1. Note that we're not using the equals key on the calculator at this point. If you do that, it would actually compare what you've written with 0 and it would be false anyway. And then we're going to key in our fraction, so we're going to see whether or not 33% is the same as a third. So we're keying in the fraction 1 over 3. And as you can see, it comes up with false. So what do you think would be equal to a third? What percentage would be equal to a third? Well, 33 out of 99 would be a third, wouldn't it? So what we want is something a little bit bigger than 33 out of 100. We want another third out of 1. So what we want is 33 1/3%. So if we edit our 33 and make it 33 1/3% and verify that, then we get true. Now let's have a look at 12.5%. So we're including a fraction in our percentage. So that's going to be 12.5 over 100. Well, it's not a good idea to write fractions within fractions. So we can simplify this by doubling the numerator and denominator. So if we double 12.5, multiply that by 2, we get 25, and double the 100 to get 200. So we've got 25 over 200. And then if we divide top and bottom by 25, we get 1/8. So 12.5% is 1/8.